Hey, welcome to a bonus episode of the Chicken Coop Podcast. We have me, Alex. We have
Adrian.
And we have
your sponsor from last episode.
Exactly, Tomm.
Tomm.
Gave us that delicious Tenjaku whiskey.
Netanyahu.
We have absolutely no idea what we're going to talk about this week, or this episode. We just, episode 8 was recorded earlier today when we talked about the brisket. We talked about the debacle with the...
Oh, that's coming out? That still has to
That'll be out, yeah. Put the mic just a little bit, yeah.
So that's coming out later.
That'll come out before this one, yeah.
Before this.
If we release this one.
Yeah.
Maybe simulcast. Who knows?
Okay.
Yeah, this is like what? That
Yeah.
one was 8, maybe 8. This one's 8.5.
Yeah.
So there's zero plan. We're just gonna. Tomm's never been on a podcast, and I just bullied him into getting on one. It is currently 10 past 1 in the morning.
My phone.
Tom's just getting
dead.
over being a little, having a little bit of a flu, and now he's on a podcast. He's gonna talk for at least half an hour.
Yeah.
So
Tissues ready.
yeah. Okay. Well, I think we should start this off by pouring some whiskey. We have some Maker's Mark. I will. Mr. Adrian doesn't want any rocks, but Tomm and I are going for some rocks.
There you go.
I like to taste my alcohol.
Yeah, I just want to get it in me. Delicious.
Is that enough to taste?
Yeah, it's fine.
So we were just chatting about the podcast a minute ago.
Turn Tomm up ever so slightly on the levels.
All right. Got it.
And I like how much you guys change into a podcast voice. You know,
Yeah.
compared to us sitting outside for 2 minutes
down
ago.
Slightly, down
Welcome to the Chicken Coop Podcast.
Slightly. Do you notice
God.
the difference?
Yes, absolutely.
You see what I mean? Like you put the headphones on, and now we're kind of locked into a present conversation. I really like it. It's super addictive.
Yeah.
I don't really give a fuck if anyone is listening, but there's something that's really fun about doing this.
Yeah, putting on your headphones in front of a couple mics, it changes the way you talk.
It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. Cheers, guys.
Ching ching.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening. You're one of like 10 or 12 people. We have the only one we know that's listening is you, basically.
And our buddy Eddie.
And our buddy Eddie listens to this as well.
Eddie listens religiously.
No shit, really?
Yeah.
Eddie.
Yeah.
Yes,
He's got to come on every time a new episode comes out. He's like, "Fuck yeah!"
He's got to come on as well. So,
Yeah.
we got to get him
We gotta
on
have
as
him
well.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd actually have some great insights too.
I got
to
it.
the shit we
Oh
talk
yeah,
about.
definitely an editor for sure. Eddie the editor
Yeah.
packed his trunk and said goodbye to the circus.
Yeah.
Is that a British thing? Is that a...
It must be.
It's you not heard of that before?
No.
I haven't.
It's the like Ellie the elephant packed a trunk and yeah, it's like a kid's song, I guess.
In England?
Yes, I mean, I assume so. Definitely in England.
Well, it's not
possibly
here.
Other places.
That's never heard of that. Don't know what that is.
No?
You're weird.
Yeah.
No idea what that is.
See.
It's no.
All right. I have no idea what to talk about. I
Yeah.
just thought this would be fun to do.
Yeah.
So this could be your post brisket.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean-
Tom, what do you think of the brisket?
I liked it very much.
You think
I
it was
think
okay?
it's been you've had it more moist, more juices, previously.
Yeah.
But in a sense of tenderness, it was like really pull apart, really nice.
I think it was £22, which is at least five to £10 more than we've ever actually physically cooked before. I think the nice thing was this has had the best smoke ring that it's had on it before.
Absolutely.
Because
For
I think
sure.
it's spent the longest cooking.
For sure.
The bark was also really good. One thing that I wasn't expecting was when it was done, we tried to take it out to wrap it and put it in the cooler, and it was completely stuck to the bottom of the grill.
Yeah.
So I tried to pick it up, couldn't. We had to get one of those like big old spatula things with the blade on the end of it to scrape it, and it took us 5 minutes just jabbing at the bottom of that thing.
You don't take it off and then put it back in the butcher paper and then put it back onto.
You can wrap it. So it gets so you cook it, it gets to about 170 and then it does the stall. Have you done this before?
I haven't done the brisket, but I've looked at a lot of videos because I want to.
Yeah, so you get to the stall, which is basically all of the liquid inside the meat goes from the inside of the meat to the outside and
Right.
starts evaporating. And that causes the temperature to stall, so the internal temperature stops going up.
That's usually once it hits about 140 to 160.
No, I think it's 160, 170, I think, right? And then because of the liquid on the outside starts to evaporate, the temperature stays the same. And then so now in barbecue, there's tons of different ethos of like, do you take off at the start of the stall and do you wrap it? And what wrapping does is basically you literally just take it off, you wrap it in butcher paper or tin foil, depending on how you choose to do it, excuse me. And wrapping it keeps the moisture inside. So once you push the meat past the stall, the moisture goes back into the meat and redistributes and keeps it moist inside. And so some people say that all the good briskets we've done, we've always just thrown it on. The first couple we did, right? We put it on. I fucking babied the temperature because the temperature goes up and down in those machines.
Right.
It went to, 200. Oh shit, it's 200. Now I've got to crank it up to 250. Oh, now it's at 275. Crank it back to like 195 or something. But the best result we've ever had is you just stick it on, open it up, spray it with apple cider vinegar every half an hour, and don't fucking touch it.
Right. Yeah, because the temperature fluctuation is just when they tell you, it reaches to, or it's set to 175 or whatever. It's an average because it's even with pellet. Even with pellet smokers, it's very difficult to keep a consistent temperature. So it's just an average.
So that one, I think, they chose not to wrap it.
When it comes to wrapping it, the science is pretty inconclusive.
Yeah.
It's kind of. Do you feel like wrapping it? Do you feel like not wrapping it?
Probably finish this.
The reason I didn't wrap it
Alex with his ice. willingly drinking.
There were two left.
Yeah, there were two left. This is one of them. When
you tried to ice me as I was petting the dog too, I just turned around and he's just there. It's like, hi Tom, and just smacked him in the stomach. What do you want from me?
I tried. I don't know. I was gonna. Can I get this in your back pocket without you realizing? Obviously not.
I see him leaning behind my ass. Yeah. Just
you haven't seen this yet, but in episode 8, I actually get iced on camera.
Really?
Yeah. It's fucking humiliating.
I haven't seen anything like visually from the camera because I'm always listening while I'm driving.
I'm glad you like it when you're not watching us, but
part of the
dog.
So no, it's fine. Whatever. They'll sort it out. When it comes to wrapping the brisket, the only reason I didn't wrap it this time was because it's fucking 22 pounds, and trying to get a 22-pound oblong piece of dead weight off of a grill when it's fucking steaming hot.
Yeah.
Is pretty difficult to do when you're by yourself.
We've got to get some of those. We got to get some of those gloves. You can get gloves where
I got to get off gloves.
Well, it's like it's like
metal here, right?
It's literally like
like wool.
It's like a wool mitten, and then you put like a latex glove over the top of the wool mitten, and then you can touch it and it doesn't scald you.
Yeah.
But we normally have been using the kitchen, not paper towel, but like the what are they called?
Just doilies, towels,
basically those kitchen towel things.
Yeah, so that's the only reason we didn't wrap it this time.
Yeah.
Usually we haven't wrapped it in the past to put back on the grill.
Yeah, the best ones are the ones we haven't wrapped because we've
just left it.
Typically, the less we fuck with it, the better it tastes.
Yeah.
Right.
Essentially.
Yeah. The biggest problem with this one was that I don't think it was seasoned enough. Because it
wasn't seasoned enough, and we only let it rest for an hour.
I don't think it had to do with the rest.
Because I don't know. I feel like I really like the taste of brisket, like brisket meat. So I'm not looking for too much on the seasoning side.
So usually we just do salt and pepper. This time we did the Traeger smoking mix.
Oh really?
Oh.
You didn't just do so.
Did it come with your new?
We ran out of pepper.
Oh
no way!
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So we supplemented with the Traeger seasoning, and it's not something that I'm a huge fan of. I think that the best meat that I've ever had has always just been salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Like every time you've ever made steak has just been salt.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the salt. Yeah.
Should we talk about? We were at 4th of July.
This guy has made the best steaks I've ever had in my life.
4th of July. Was it last 4th of July? Or was it 4th of July?
It was a couple of years ago because we haven't done it at Brian's for a minute.
No, it was 2, I think.
I think it was 2.
Maybe.
And we'd already eaten a lot of meat. Everyone was fairly drunk and hanging out and distributed into different groups. And I think we were playing beer pong, or we were playing something.
We were playing pong.
Playing pong or hit the cup. What was that? What's
something.
Drink the beer.
Drink the beer. Yeah.
And it was, I think, Adrian, myself, and 2 other guys were standing by this table playing games. And Tomm comes over and goes, come here. just try this.
I was so drunk too. I was so excited for it.
Oh, so there wasn't that much.
Yeah,
it was such a small amount.
The best.
It was a filet mignon. I think
it could possibly be the best piece of meat I've ever put in my mouth. It just fell apart. Adrian,
I'm not a
remember what he did?
I'm not a touchy-feely guy.
He hugged you and said, "I love you."
It was a good piece of steak.
It was
really
dude.
good.
That might have been like that might rank in my top 10 experiences in life.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
I mean,
no.
well, man, maybe I don't know experiences. It's definitely memorable.
It was
meat experiences. For sure.
Obviously, he liked it more than you did.
Yeah, no, obviously. Seriously, like I've had some good experiences in my life. I think that meat was just like. It was succulent. It was decadent. I don't know. Anytime this guy's touched a fucking steak, it has turned out incredibly. This guy, Tomm babies his meat.
Yes, that's the thing. It's not actually that hard. You just have to, people usually leave it on the grill and
What's
they're like,
the secret, Tomm? What's the secret?
Literally baby your meats. Just baby your meats. It's okay to you're allowed to flip it more than twice. It's.
Burgers are just once.
Right, yeah. But burgers, the second you...
How did you learn? Instinctive, or you just kind of did it?
I've watched my dad on the grill for so many years at this point, too. My dad really loves grilling anything. So.
I know something you have an insight in that we could talk about. Off-roading in Jeeps.
So off-roading Jeeps.
So Tomm has... You're on your second Jeep now, right?
Yes. We traded in... We had a Rubicon... We had a Wrangler Sport. It was a 2014, and we purchased in 2017. Traded it in last year, towards the end of the year, like August, for a Rubicon Wrangler.
A lovely sort of deep olive green.
Yes.
This thing's a beast.
Those who know.
What's it called?
His name is John. So for those who know about Halo and the Master Chief, so he's got that same kind of green of the armor with like around the hood of the car. It's, for those who know, it's a 392 Hemi engine. Oh my God. So the 392 is written on the side, and then it's got like a gold trim around it, and it's a hell of a car.
It has that like beautiful gold that Master Chief's visor has.
So if you're going to sell, right, why do you buy a Jeep, and why do you go... Not buying a Jeep and driving around town is one thing, but why do you buy a Jeep and get it? So you can go to those Jeep meetups and do your thing.
Yeah. So
and also explain what that thing is. Like, what do you actually do when you get it?
So we go on Jeep trips. So what does that mean? It's like off-road trips, and then it's not really meant for like...
What is an off-road trip?
So you
live in LA.
So we live in LA, right? So we'll meet up in like Laughlin, Nevada, and then which
is in the middle of the desert.
It's like south of Vegas, like I would say like an hour, maybe 2 hours south of Vegas. Yeah. And then we'll camp out that night, or even stay in like a motel just that first night, because we've been driving all day. And then we'll go on to a trail, and then it's essentially, it's the supplies you took with you. So all the food, you're cooking on there, whether it's for anything from coffee, you're taking a shit, by digging a hole in the dirt, and you camp out.
Really?
Yeah, no, I have a great shit story if we want to go over that later.
I do. After this.
And then we camp.
We put that out. Yeah, we can put that out, right?
Yeah.
Good point.
It's I won't be too graphic. So, but then you there's a designated trail, and then there's some areas you can go to the side. And
so is it like, I've seen Jeep things on YouTube, but is it like you're driving through the desert, or you're driving through like big puddles of water?
So there's two styles of trips I would say that we go on. One is
driving dunes.
So one is more like high elevation. So you're climbing, you're going on a trail, let's say designated trail, but that trail has different challenges. So I haven't gone per se on too many of those ones. I like the more desert style trips. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit less challenging, but you can, the scenery is one that I like. I like desert landscape very much. It's very calming. And also you can haul ass. You can really pick up and and drift a little bit and throw the ass out and everything with the car. But then the challenging ones that my dad loves is like really climbing over major rocks and boulders and hitting the high elevation.
The incline of the vehicle, like in terms of degrees.
So, it's not going to, like, if you're at if we're talking about like anything from 90 degree all the way to the 180, right? So you're not going to go anything down that's 90 degrees, right? You're going to fall right off. But you could go down potentially like a 65 degree slope, 70 degree slope. And the car this one specifically has a lot of different programs and automated programs, in the computer to essentially take you down that slope without you just flying down and crashing. Yeah. So even near my house,
and you bumped bumper those other cars in front of you, or are there?
No, there's a good amount of space. There's like common rules. So like, and it's not like on the freeway, right? You have that rule, like you should be able to count 3 seconds to the nearest whatever post, right? No, this is like a ton of space, and usually when you're crossing different obstacles, you go one at a time, and until you've completely passed over, then the next guy is gonna go.
And how many normally like in the group?
I would say there's never any less than 6, and then maximum we've had at a time is probably 12.
It's like
an
online meetup group.
So
like, how's it organized?
It started as it's actually, so my dad is a general contractor. I work for him. I'm a salesman. Mm-hmm. And so one of the plumbers that we work with, he did these trips, and he kept telling my dad, hey, you should come on these trips. So my dad went with him one time, but sat as passenger. Yeah. And since then, he fell in love with it. So this then we got
10 years ago.
This was
before you got the old.
Yeah. So I would say around like 2016. Yeah. Probably. And then at 2017, I think it was like April when we got the car.
A beast.
Yeah. So the black one, we named him Carl. So Carl.
I miss Carl.
Yeah.
Was it with a C or a K?
It was a C. It was Carl with a C.
Miss Carl with a K.
Oh, well, that was a different. that was a long time ago. That was Carl.
A different Carl.
That was a different Carl. Yeah. He did different things. So, and we put a lot of work into Carl. He was. We bought it. It was already lifted. It already had like 35s on it. The problem is the person who was driving that car, they were not driving it for off-road purposes, right? It was like city. So, you looked underneath, there were no scratches. It was super clean and everything.
Ugh, gross.
Exactly. It was pathetic, disgusting.
Yeah.
So, and then, so we had to change a lot of the gears. We put new suspension,
like a skid plate or something on it.
Put a skid plate, put rock sliders, put tons of lights and all that good stuff too. It already came with the winch, so we didn't have to replace that.
Because that one looked
mean,
dangerous.
Yeah, that one looked mean.
Yeah,
it was one of those Jeeps where you look at it and it's like, wow, they actually do shit with that.
Yeah,
and one of the funniest thing I see with Jeeps is when people put like the angry eyes on it.
Aren't they like? They're not. Aren't they stock now? They're not custom, right? On the new ones.
The new
stock is
just a piece of black tape. Like, make it as angry as you want, like depending on the angle.
On the angle.
Every
one's
time
winking,
I see
one's got a like.
I actually don't like the new stock headlights that they have on the Jeep. They're really ugly.
Every time
ones?
Yeah, the LED ones that come stock with the Jeeps are really ugly. So I want to change those.
I mean, every LED lights in general just fucking blow.
I like the look of them. It just sucks when you're driving at them.
Yes.
Like turn your brights off.
Or if you have a Jeep that's like raised and is right behind you, because there have been people that I'm driving behind them, and they
driving a Civic or something.
Yeah, they will move out of the way because it's blinding, and I feel bad. Not really, but but it's like I get it because it's happened to me because I also for work I drive a Toyota RAV4.
Yeah.
It's not a Civic low, but it's low enough.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that jerk off with the raised, Ford F-150, with his, exactly, LEDs is blaring in my face as well. So absolutely, I get that.
No, that's really cool.
But yeah, so
you're gonna take me. I haven't been on a trip yet.
I really want to take us because I'm waiting for the next kind of rains that we kind of had like last week where it rained for a day and it stopped.
Beautiful.
And I really
Is it better after that then?
So I've been on a trip to Pinion Hills.
Yeah.
And there's a trail that takes you from Pinion Hills, I believe, to kind of Lake Arrowhead area.
Right.
And we went there, and right after the rains, it was beautiful because the sun is out, but there's snow everywhere.
Yeah.
And so it's really, really great experience.
I mean, if you can figure out when that happens, we can just fucking stay up there. Like that's not even a problem.
Yeah, we should.
Like, so just let me know and we'll make it happen.
So I've been looking at the weather and it's supposed to rain again, but
when do you think?
It's going to be middle of the week, which is a little rough. I'm waiting. I'm trying to see if there's like a Thursday, Friday when it's going to be kind of raining up in the mountains, and then if the next day is like beautiful, we should plan it, even if it's like last minute.
Yeah, no,
I'll go up with you. That's not an issue.
Yeah. We do a lot last minute.
Yeah,
we did this last minute.
I'd love to do that. Yeah,
that's true.
This is about as last minute as you get.
Excuse me. As you can see, I was just sick.
You were out for God. You were out for like at least a week, right?
At least a week. So.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry, no. Adrian's doing secret hand signals to me.
Oh, he wants he needs an inhaler.
Yeah.
It's a medical reason.
Yes, so you know what I always thought about sign language? I always thought that you should just mandatorily, everyone that goes on set should just learn sign language.
Actually, it would be very good on
useful.
set.
I was always thinking if I ever made it to being like a proper full-on union first AD, I'm just going to insist that certain people know hand signals so they don't have to do the whisper into the mic that sounds exactly the same volume when it comes through your ears.
Right.
Well, I mean, once you know somebody well enough too, you kind of develop your own sign language that the other person intuits.
I had that with plenty of, like a couple of ADs I worked with.
I feel like if you and I had to communicate something very quietly, it would work fairly well.
We've had an experience already like that here in the backyard.
Yeah.
So you know,
just tonight, I believe.
Not just no. It was you know what I'm talking about. See, the same. The sign language is working.
And I mean, like me and my brother, like we have an entire quiet language that we just like kind of look at each other and do it.
Yeah.
It works. I mean, unless he comes in like. Starts talking in the middle of a podcast and like really ruins the entire shot.
In terms of like a couple of ADs that I've worked with, I've had decent relationships, worked with them for a while, and PAs. There is like you could tell they're like, you know, go get the fucking this, you know, and they're looking at you like, what am I supposed to do? Yeah, I'm in a lockup, dude. I can't move.
We need like 5 batteries. Get the fuck over there right now.
Well, in a like a lead or a sales pitch, essentially, if I'm working with another salesman, the nice thing is that, you know, we can talk in a different language, so that's the easiest thing. But you know, in areas where you just can't talk, like what you're talking about, I feel like sign language will eventually get really distracting though, because you're gonna have people on the side that are just gonna like do something, it's gonna make them laugh, and it's
well, I mean, there's like army signs too.
Oh yeah, there's kind of sign, that kind of thing.
It's not.
You need some kind of
like quick command.
I mean, the film business does technically have those, but it's normally like I need to go to the bathroom, like 10-1,
10-4,
10-4,
10-2.
10-1 is I need to pee, 10-2 is I need to poo, 10-4 is okay. That's normal, but like, and also sign language, 10-2 is this. If like you're across from so for listeners, you get your thumb of one hand and you kind of hold it with the other hand and pull the thumb out.
You ever see Meet the Fockers?
I was about to say, I just know that because of Meet the Fockers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Meet the Fockers,
I have to make a poop.
Baby Jack. Baby Jack does this number.
Yeah.
And
I'll never forget
Robert
that
De
movie.
Niro's character.
I don't know whether
knows
that's
exactly that means I need to poop.
I don't know whether that's from the
come
film
out?
business,
That
but it's
came out,
definitely
like-
used in the film business.
That came out like 2004, I want to say.
I saw that movie in theaters.
Did you really?
It's
Yeah.
so good.
That was a good movie.
That was
really
a fantastic movie. And
What was the next one? Meet the
I think I
Parents.
actually saw
Meet
that.
the Parents was the first one.
Meet the Parents was the first one. Meet the Fockers was the second. I saw that in Arrowhead with my parents. We rented it on VHS.
Yes.
No way. Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, simpler
man.
times.
Such a good movie. Honestly, like great film. I'm a huge fan of Ben Stiller.
He's great. Yeah.
I still have not seen Severance.
I haven't.
What's
Either.
Severance?
Is he in that?
He directed it. I think that was his
Apple
that was
TV
his
show
project.
where it came out last year, and I think it's something to do with a guy that goes into this weird like clean office, and when he's in the office, there's something to do with when they get to the office, they forget their home life, and when they leave, they forget the office life, or something like that.
Yeah,
Something I haven't
it's
seen it, so
basically
I'm not
like
sure.
a mind split
Yeah.
between office and work,
Yeah.
work and social.
Okay, so what's the...
That's the basic.
I think
premise.
Gotcha,
I think the thing is that
They work
the
in a
guy
weird-
figures out that
Yeah.
when he leaves or comes to work, he forgets or remembers something, and then
Okay.
yeah. It's like a mind game.
It's
I
supposed to be
believe.
one of the best shows of last year.
Yeah,
Oh, it's a show. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
TV
it's
show
TV
on Apple TV. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got you.
Ben Stiller, he didn't write it, but I think he was part of the production team or something. It's his project.
Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, he's brilliant.
He's fantastic. I was watching like old Seinfeld bits with his dad, Jerry Stiller, today.
Well, I think aside from that, we should go on to your poop shit story.
Oh.
Yeah,
I really
no.
forgot.
I would love to talk about your poop shit
Yeah.
story.
Okay, so this is actually the last trip I was on.
Jeep trip.
Jeep trip. We went. That was the Laughlin trip, and we call it the Mojave Run. And so, we go through the Mojave Desert through. It's essentially 1 night, 2 day drive.
Yeah.
So that morning, I wake up. I'm usually the first to go to sleep and the last to wake up. Excuse me. And so I can I had not gone to the bathroom the day before. I just didn't need to. And the night before, we're always cooking up like a ton of steaks and meats and stuff. And,
all the good stuff if you have not gone to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, and I've had like 3 cups of like Turkish coffee during the day before. So, I am prepped, right? I am prepped and ready to go.
I love Turkish coffee.
So
It's so sweet, dude.
It's not sweet.
I thought Turkish coffee was one with tons of sugar.
Oh, no.
It's black and coffee grounds. That's it.
I'll bring some next.
Okay.
We should have some. When we sit outside, it's fantastic.
Okay,
yeah, it's great.
So, and so we have this red shovel that we bring with us, and that's the shit shovel, right? That's the shit shovel. You when you need to go, you take the shovel with you, take your toilet paper. And then my dad comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, can you help me with something?" And right as he says that, you get that feeling like, "Uh-oh, I gotta go."
How do you feel about being that this is the first podcast you're on? It might be published to the internet, and you're talking about.
There's way worse things out there. At this point, this is the least of my concerns.
Yeah.
So I'm wearing my my small brain big ball shirt. And
that no one knew about till you literally just mentioned it right now.
It's gonna, at least the viewers will they see brain. They see brain balls on the. So and so I was like, this has to wait. Like I have to go. So I grabbed the shovel, grabbed the toilet paper, and I am like, so we're kind of in this. Like we found an area where we can, because it was kind of windy, that we can get next to some rocks so it breaks the wind, and that's where we camped. And so I'm walking out to like the field in front of us because that's the only place you're going to be able to. And I start digging my hole, right? I'm a good few hundred yards out, and I am trying to hold it in as I'm crouched down digging this hole, and I'm thinking, okay, and I'm like, and I cannot hold anymore, so I just dunk my pants down and I squat and I miss the hole. And now, if you've ever been to like a really proper like Mexican restaurant and you've ever ordered like a wet burrito, you know how it comes. It's like a nice log, and it's just nasty like drippings on top. That's exactly what it looked like. It was
ruining my favorite fucking meal, man. So I love wet burritos.
It was like a proper wet burrito just laying there on the sandy desert ground.
Jesus.
And it's not like one of those, when you're on the actual toilet, you go to the bathroom and you have to wait and somewhere. It was like everything came out in one shot. It just, I just squatted.
One and done, dude.
And one and done. And I'm trying to, now comes the worst part is coming up. Like that's the easy part, is actually taking the shit. The worst part is wiping after the fact, right? Because you're squatted, with the pants down, and you've got this toilet paper roll that you have over 2 fingers that you're trying to roll, and I didn't have time to get the stones to sit for, forget all that.
You don't do the military toilet where you like puncture a hole in the
I'm telling you, dude, I missed the hole. I didn't have time.
No. I mean with the toilet paper where you throw it over your middle finger.
Yeah, that's what you do. It's just hold them, and then you roll.
No, that's not.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay.
We don't need to explain it. Just Google.
That'll be a project for tomorrow.
Other people can Google that one. We don't need to.
Okay, so you do that, and then all of a sudden, if I'm standing here and the camp is in front of me, kind of over to my left, I start seeing people walking in my direction from a different camp, from not our people, just different people, and I am praying that they don't see me because I'm huddled behind this bush. And so I'm wiping for, and then I do the thing and I throw that in the wipe. And I scoop it, the shovel, and start throwing dirt and put the sticks. And I start walking back to our camp. And then, that itch hits you where the itch.
I know
so
the itch.
The itch where you feel like, I think I have to wipe again.
Yeah.
And I have to, maybe I miss a spot.
So it's not all there.
So my dad sees me as I'm walking to the camp, turn around and walk back to my shit station, and I have to go back and thank God those people went back to their Jeep or whatever, and that's how my morning started.
This is Tomm's debut on a live internet radio.
Welcome to the Chicken Coop Podcast.
Yeah. Oh man,
we were gonna get here eventually, so now we're here.
Yeah, so that was
broken the floodgates.
It's part of the fun though, being outside and doing that, and so, poor guy.
Okay, so going on to music, I do want to ask you about music because I think you probably listen to, well, maybe not Adrian, well, maybe both of you, but I listen to more I listen to music when I'm working, but I like music that I know because I can zone out to it and just focus.
He likes classical music. He likes Beethoven and nothing else.
I do. Well, no, I like classical music. I like, if it's got lyrics, it'll distract me. If it's just sound, especially sound I know, I can just listen to it without having to pay attention and code.
It makes sense too.
Yeah. Whereas, like, but if I'm on a road trip, if I'm on a road trip, Jesus Christ, if I'm on a road trip, I like
get him some more whiskey.
No, I don't need any more. I'm a little ADHD, so like I need a story or a podcast or something to listen to. If it's music, it'll be good for half an hour, and then I'm kind of like, I need to.
The leg starts jumping up and down.
I need something to distract me, kind of thing.
Be right back.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. But no, so something we meant to talk about it last or 2 episodes ago, but one, there's been a bunch of different, what is it? Fall Out Boy just released something, right?
Yeah, Fall Out Boy is, and they're going on tour.
Paramore
I didn't check out, to be
also
honest.
released something. Say again?
MCR,
My Chemical Romance.
My Chemical Romance. I haven't checked that out. The Fall Out Boy I've been really enjoying, to be honest.
I haven't listened to any of it.
It's they have 2 new songs out, and the album is coming out soon. Singles
from the album.
From the new album.
Okay.
I think the first one was Love from the Other Side. That song slaps.
Really?
Absolute fun song.
Right,
and it's very much more classic Fall Out Boy, because they kind of went to more like pop electronic. Mm-hmm. They had some electronic influence and very poppy. And
I listened to Fall Out Boy when I was like
2006 or something like that.
Yeah,
2005.
And they were great then.
Yeah.
I just went away and haven't really gone back. But
so it's definitely a fun song, and you feel especially the drums, right? The drums were.
Is it a nostalgia thing, or is it like
no, it's generally a good music.
Yeah.
They're all very talented.
Yeah. But is there there must be an element of nostalgia. You hear the same kind of.
Definitely. Oh yeah. No. 100%, because I'm very much not like a pop punk person, or even like emo rock or alternative rock at the moment. I'm very much into like
metal,
black metal and metalcore and death metal, and so
okay.
So it's very much it has to do a lot more with the nostalgia, because that's how it started.
If you're gonna give a recommendation for first of all, how many hours are in the car when you're working a day? 2 hours?
No, more. I would say. Between 4 to 5 hours, depending.
So it's normally what, like an hour or an hour and a half?
My first drive is in the morning, and that will be a minimum of 45 minutes to an hour. So let's say it's an hour. It's for simple
on the 405.
On the 405, it could be on the 405. It could be on the 10, the 60, the 210.
Listening to hard metal,
at 7 o'clock in the morning, and not even coffee, just Red Bull and just absolutely.
Yeah,
so.
And do you listen to the same music every day? Or is it on a rotation? Or do you specifically seek out new music?
I'm one of those people that will find 5-6 different songs, listen to them for like 2 weeks on repeat. Listen to them again, right? Yeah, and then I cannot listen to them again. And then I find my next 5 to 6 songs, and I constantly do that. So I don't really make playlists on my Spotify. I have all my songs, and whatever is on the top is what I'm essentially listening to right now. I
do the exact same thing.
So
I'm very different from Adrian. Away from that experience.
I have on Spotify. I have liked songs, and I have my Shazammed songs.
Oh, okay.
So I'll normally alternate between podcasts. I'll pick the podcast. I'll go. I want to listen to this today. It's that, or it's shuffling my liked songs, or listening to the most.
I don't even shuffle them.
Yeah, or listening down from my most previously liked. Same with Shazam.
Yeah, got you.
Whereas Adrian,
I do playlists like a motherfucker.
Yeah,
Adrian.
You seem like that person too. You're very much more things need to be in their spot.
Well,
and I want to listen to this right now from this category.
Have you described the way that you do?
No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. I'm a mess. No, I will repeat it until I hate it. That's not good. That's not healthy.
My brother does that too.
Can you explain so you do this really cool thing where you do, what is it, a song a month every year?
I do 2 songs each month every year starting 2020.
So can you explain it?
What do you mean? What does that mean?
Have you not known this?
No.
I feel like I've been pretty vocal about this.
Maybe, but
every month I every year I have a play.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, good.
Spin the bass. No, it's like the stick needs to point towards you. Other way. Spin it anti-clockwise. Yeah, like that.
Yeah, every month I do 2 songs.
What do you mean you do 2 songs? You write 2 songs?
No, I add 2 songs.
So he has a playlist for every year, and every month he adds 2 songs to that playlist that represent his month or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Adrian, can you explain? Okay, so starting from 2023, what are the 2 songs in January that you've put in so far? And why?
So starting in 2012.
Okay.
I didn't start this in 2012. I started this project in 2020.
Okay.
Right.
No more whiskey.
But the logic goes all the way back to 2012. Y'all remember Coney?
Y'all remember Coney? Oh, Coney 2012. I had the band, dude.
Yeah. You guys remember?
Yeah.
I had a huge argument with my uncle at that time about how impactful it was and whether or not it was relevant.
And right? What was he arguing?
How much
early on, dude.
He was arguing that this is the most important thing on the planet. And I was saying no, this guy has already been on the UN list of most important people to capture.
Drink up, boy.
He's already signed his make about it, yeah.
I had already I had already kept in my mind that
it's a lot of fun.
People forget things that happen every month.
Right.
Every month there's a new big, exciting, important thing happening. Yeah. And somehow people just it evaporates in their mind.
Yeah.
And 10 years later that may be relevant.
So kind of you're saying is it's almost like a journal. It's kind of like a journal where you hear the song.
Well, I keep a journal as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is...
You know that I by the way, I didn't read any of it.
No, go.
I think last time I loaded up your laptop, I opened it, you told me the password, something popped up on Notion, and I was like, whoop. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, no, that's my journal.
Yeah, I figured. Because I saw words and I saw dates.
Yeah.
And I was like, Jesus Christ, this is way too meticulous for me, by the way.
I keep entries.
Yeah.
I try to keep it every day.
Yeah.
But it's difficult.
It was when we were offloading 2 podcasts ago.
Yeah. So when it comes to the playlist,
on your 9 browsers that you fucking Windows you
back in 2012, I had this idea that people forget things month to month, and then it kind of sat latent in my mind.
Yeah.
And then 2020 happened.
Yeah.
And starting in the beginning of 2020, and I can actually tell you month by month what went on in 2020 that was relevant because of my playlist.
That's such an interesting way, because what is it? Smell is the most evocative, right? Where you have the most memories, and then I think it's music, right? And then
sound
in
general. So 2020, I started out with 1999 by Prince, which is the world is ending, let's fucking have a party.
Yeah.
And that just kind of encapsulated the sound of the year. And the second song is World War II Part 2 by Wax Fang, which is basically the idea. You haven't heard it.
I would say play it, but no, don't play it. We're gonna
just the name of the song.
The idea was that at the beginning of 2020, nothing happened. Nothing amazing was going on, but we had this whole hysteria around the world going on that World War III is about to happen.
Yeah.
With something for Kobe Bryant.
Face. No, but the idea was that I think in January 2020 we had killed or the United States had a hit on Soleimani, the Iranian general.
Right.
And that was a tipping point where people were like, is this going to kick some shit off? And the idea was that we have this global idea that World War III could kick off at any moment.
Yeah.
And it just felt that everybody thought that. So, like, fuck it, let's hit that.
Yeah, because now...
And then, then we had Everybody Knows. In February, we have Everybody Knows, which is that everybody knows the dice is loaded, everybody knows, everybody rolls with their fingers crossed. The entire song is about, like, the world may be ending. Everybody's got this idea about them.
It is
do you actually go back and listen to these plays?
Oh, all the time. They're great songs. I love these songs. Like, I don't add any songs that I don't like.
Right. I thought maybe you just look at it and be like,
dope idea.
The end of February 2020, we had the wildfires that were going across Australia and California, where everything was on fire. Guess what I add? I'm on Fire by Bruce Springsteen. I'm not saying that it's profound. I'm saying that they're great songs that are relevant to the time.
This would be, by the way, Adrian, real quick. This would be fascinating to figure out how to add this in a good way to Butler.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this is part of the reason that I like the idea of Butler.
Yeah. With anything, books, movies, fucking...
So guess what my first song for March of 2020 is?
Ooh, what happened in March 2020? I can't remember.
So you should.
You should.
Was that...
It's the one thing.
It's the one thing we don't talk about.
Yeah. I added Corona by the Minutemen.
I know the song, I just can't remember what it sounds like.
But
you ever watch Jackass?
Yes.
Yeah. So the first words of that song are people will survive in their environment. And it happens at the exact time that coronavirus appears in the United States.
Of course.
The entire country locks down. That's the beginning of March 2020.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the framework that I'm working with for this playlist.
So good.
Every month something happens and everybody has like the entire world, or at least the United States world, whips up into some fucking hysteria about some event every month, at least twice a month, every month.
Why is it twice a month and not, let's say, one per week, 4 times a month?
It's not enough time to milk it, make enough money out of it for the news organizations, and then we move on. I mean, if you look at the news organizations, we won't get into it now. But that's how we absorb, especially news.
Yeah. I mean, for my purposes, is that like if I did that, I would run out of songs real fucking quick. I'm trying to make this last.
Doorknob.
So I'm trying to make this last as long as I can. And the problem is that if I do it 4 times a month, then I'll run out of ideas twice as fast.
So let's go to... Yeah, that makes sense.
So if we go to 2022...
2023, this year.
So right now I have a 2023 Untitled is the name of the playlist.
Oh, so you name the entire playlist as well?
Yeah. So the first...
so it's not naming by year?
No, it's naming by year. So 2020 is Corona Quest.
Okay.
And then 2022 is Corona Quest 2 Electric Boogaloo. Or no, Electoral Boogaloo, because it started with the January 6th riots.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Also, real quick, how wild is it that was a year or two ago? This whole thing.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah, but the runoff included.
Yeah.
And things have kind of got back to normal, kind of, not really. But we went through wild times.
Nothing ever changed for any individual person.
I wouldn't say that.
Nothing for you.
We
as
definitely
a person,
don't feel certain things.
Did
here
anybody?
Being
did your life change personally?
Yeah, it changed personally
because of the quote unquote insurrection. No.
No, I'm not talking about that specific thing, but from that year. I mean,
you mean from 2020?
2020, yeah.
I could probably point to individual things from the playlist that I assembled that like things changed.
No, but I mean, my whole life changed basically because of
that year was definitely a big change.
That year was a big year.
Yeah. Even 2021.
But saying that, like you go before 2020, 2020, then after 2020, I would say your life is vastly different, but we just forgot about it and moved on.
Yeah,
but that's a good thing.
Yeah. So 2020.
No, I mean
there's an argument to be made for both sides.
Yeah, but I mean, like
with regards to 2022, I have your regularly scheduled Crisis.
Yeah.
That's the name of that playlist, and then 2023 is Untitled. And starting in Jan 2023, we started hard with Ballroom Blitz.
Why?
Because the intro to January 2023, the big crisis was a mass shooting that occurred in a ballroom during the Lunar New Year in January.
Who was that again?
What do you mean, who was that? I don't know the guy's name.
But no, I don't actually remember.
It was a mass shooting during Chinese New Year.
That's
where
right.
a guy shot up a whole bunch of people. 8 people died.
Yeah.
It was fucking terrible. Ballroom Blitz encompasses the idea of that.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I have is Police Encounters by FFS, which I included specifically because of the Tyre Nichols incident.
Yeah.
Which was the big thing at the end of January.
Yeah.
Right.
So every month there's at least 2 big things that happen, and I try to include that. So if there's not stuff that includes that, I include things from my personal life, which is reflect heavily in the 2021 playlist, especially after like September.
So are they? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, after September 2021, I have a lot of personal stuff because not a lot of.
Was that when Toby passed away?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Not a lot of global crises happened then. And I was feeling a lot of personal stuff.
I was going to say, because a lot of what you spoke about is like global or at least USA tragedies.
Yeah.
So why do you choose, what's the reason for choosing the tragedies to punctuate that time versus, let's say, something else that happened personally in that month? Is it because you want to...
Well, because it's important to me, because I think that it's important to remember.
Yeah.
If things are more important to remember than the things that affect me, then sure, I'll add them. If the things that affect me are more important, then why should I give a shit about anything else? Most things don't matter, right?
For sure.
With regards to
most things we take for granted, not necessarily they don't matter.
But no, I think it's fascinating. I think it's fascinating.
With regards to most like political things, like most things don't affect our everyday lives.
I'm
like
thinking, so
right now, like I could include any of the George Santos shit for the
silly song
January
like,
playlist,
yeah, like a Weird Al Yankovic song or something.
I could include some shit for it,
but it's not.
But really, does that impact my life specifically? I'm not saying that this is for everybody. I'm not saying that this is everybody's experience. But like, does this impact me as a person?
No, I think it's fascinating.
Versus the violence against individuals exhibited in the Tyre Nichols incident, or versus the violence against the general public exhibited in the Chinese New Year incident.
Right.
So.
Admittedly, I don't actually know too much about that one. But
look, again, if
we talked about that tonight when we were outside. Yeah.
If you want to start your own playlist, like this is your thing. I just find a lot of structure in this, and I
think it's fascinating.
I find this to be a journal of everyday life. Like I would love to do a deep dive into each one of these.
It's really,
because the thing is, like,
this
keeps me accountable for every year that goes on. I called the I've named the playlist privately the playlist for the end of time.
Yeah,
it's like a time capsule of your own music.
This is a time capsule of my own music, and if you asked me what each of these songs meant, I could tell you immediately.
Yeah, what I think is fascinating
and also I think that these songs are genuinely decent songs that I like.
Oh yeah,
and that's part of it. I like playlists in general. Is the thing.
Well,
like I have a gym playlist that is most. I mean, let's be honest, it's mostly fucking anime music. Like
it's some of the best music to work out to.
It's the entire soundtrack from Kill la Kill. It is. Like half of the theme songs from Naruto Shippuden. It is some songs from fucking Berserk. It is some songs from fucking Fooly Cooly. Like it's just stuff that makes me feel like, let's fucking get it.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z, same thing. Like let's fucking push real fucking hard today.
Yeah.
That's the idea behind that playlist.
Well, I think what I think is so cool about that, and I guess it's such an interesting idea, is that everybody has that song from their first breakup, the first relationship or something.
Oh God.
Where like I have music that I can't listen to.
Did you on your first breakup? Did you break up with the person, or the person break up?
No, they broke up with me.
Okay, so for me, like the first breakup I had, I broke up with the person, so I don't have that necessarily.
But there's songs.
But you have a song that you feel like there.
Yeah, We Are the Champions or something by Queen.
No, I have music that I love those songs, but I can't. Like,
no hate.
I have
for some reason she hears
let's
this
say
in the
you
future.
have like I mean, I can't. Saying that now, I don't remember what the song is, but you have like your songs in quotes. Songs you listen to. But then
when you're in love with somebody, every song is about you.
Or you have, of course.
Every song that you hear during that period is the thing that like galvanizes.
That's an exaggerated version because you have songs that are with you at certain parts in your life, and when you hear them later in life, regardless of how many years out you are from that event, kind of reminds you of it.
Well, yeah, it definitely brings back some of those emotions I'm sure that you've had.
You have happy songs and you have sad songs. Right. And some songs you hear and you're like, please turn this off. Or you have songs like, or you have songs that you're like, yes. And then you sit by yourself and while you're listening to that song, you remember this awesome event in your life.
There's certain songs that if it comes up on shuffle, because part of me is that if I like a band and I like if I like more than half of the album, I just save the album to my likes.
Yeah. I have a question for you.
And there's individual songs that like I'll come across on shuffle and I'm skip.
January,
I have to skip.
March or April 2022. What are the songs? That was the month one. Either I think it was March or I think it was April where you got investment for Butler. I'd be interested to know what you saved.
I didn't save anything for investment for Butler.
Just curious.
The thing I saved, so
2022.
Leading into at the beginning of March 2022, we started experiencing the turmoil in Ukraine, and the song I saved there.
Was that early?
Yeah. The song that's the reason I do this.
Yeah.
The song that I saved there is Rasputin by Boney M.
Yeah. Isn't that the remix of it, right?
No, the original. I started with Phone Call, not Phone Call, Light Flight to Venus.
Yes. By who?
Boney M, same band. It leads directly into Rasputin. But the second half, when we would have experienced investment, is War by Edwin Starr.
How fucking bizarre is that?
You know that song, right?
Yeah.
It sucks that has to happen in March.
I don't remember, but I know the song.
No, you know the song. You ever watch Rush Hour?
Yeah.
What's the song?
I don't remember.
War.
I know
that.
Oh. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
Say it again! Yeah, so that's the song that I have when
that brought back. I'll tell you that. You remember Lewis?
Yeah, I love Lewis.
So for whatever reason, Lewis used to sing that song in elementary school, and I hated that song at that time. And I don't know how I convinced him, but I said, every time you sing that stupid song, you're gonna give me a Pokemon card. And this guy, at like the last week of like fifth grade or something, he comes in with like a little packet thing, and it's got like some crazy rare Pokemon cards, right? And I'm just like, what is this? Like, I was half joking, but we were in like fifth grade, and he just slaps them on the table. It's the only shiny Blastoise I've ever had. Was from Lewis. And only because he would sing that song, and he'd like do his thing. You know, he's always been very musically talented. Yeah. And we were really good friends at that time.
I love Lewis.
I would miss that guy, and I hope he's doing well.
He's doing real well, I think. I think he's a model right now.
Hit us up.
I thought he was doing like. Actually, no, I'll be honest. I don't know what he's saying. I follow him on Instagram. I
saw him I think 3 or 4 years ago.
I saw him. I mean, good for him. He's you know, whatever he's doing. But
he's been doing well.
I don't know how I convinced him. I don't know why he actually brought it, but yeah, he gave me a ton of really rare Pokemon cards, and I still have them in my binder that I have stashed in my closet.
Yeah.
So the idea is like, if a big global like world changing event happens, like that takes precedence over my emotional feelings.
Yeah, for sure.
In your view.
But personally, like this is my playlist. You want to fucking make your own goddamn playlist? Make your own fucking playlist, Tomm. I don't fucking I don't give a shit what you fucking do.
I'm not hating on your playlist. I'm saying that in general, this is what's important to you.
Yeah.
I want downvotes to hate on your playlist and comments.
No, but I think it's important to you. You know, right? It makes, because what you just said is right. It's a world event that's taking over your precedence over your personal events. But I think these world events are personal events to you, and that's why you put it in there. Yeah. Right? That's the whole point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I think at the end of the day, it's all about how you personally feel about it.
At the end of each year, I try to mix each of these into their own individual tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think 2020, I think I did pretty well. 2021, I think so far has been my big piece.
Yep.
I'm not going to say
tour de force.
I'm not going to say it's my
magnus opus.
My magnum opus.
Magnum opus. Yeah.
Please get your fucking
Latin in
Please
order.
get your
How many years of
declensions
Latin
right.
did you take?
You goddamn nerd.
If you're going to use the word, use it properly.
I get so offended.
I'm not going to say it's my magnum opus, but I think it is the thing that I have worked hardest towards in terms of like mastering and getting it right. I think that especially with 2021, we had a lot of moments in the first year that were...
My main achievement of 2020 is choosing the correct songs for my playlist.
I think that we had a lot of very instrumental things that
I've never worked harder in my life.
That's not what I'm saying. I think we had a lot of important things that happened in the first half of 2021.
Yeah, definitely.
And
I don't remember any of that.
Most people have forgotten about. I've forgotten about
nothing.
Exactly.
The feeling of that year.
January 2023 is already gone for me.
Yeah,
it does not exist.
We're in February now.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's gone.
We
it's
had the insurrection. We had the beginning of our recession.
We're in the 5th now. Sunday.
We had coming out of the entire coronavirus like lockdown, quote unquote. We had the vaccine thing and all the politics that came with it. We had several things that happened towards at least my personal community and my larger community that were that included mass acts of violence.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the very least we encountered the death of at least one figure. I think that John McAfee, maybe not the best figure to idolize in public life, but probably an important person.
Yeah.
Man, my vape, goddamn.
Yeah,
you guys and your hogging the
vapes. Jeff Bezos went to space.
What song is that?
Bezos 2. By
yes.
Bo Burnham.
Yes, that's such a good song.
I mean, I mix these pretty well.
Have you heard, by the way, have you heard Bezos 3 and 4 from his...
they're pretty good. In my mind, I included a song...
You haven't watched Inside?
No.
Oh you gotta watch it.
But you know what? That wouldn't be nearly as good, I don't think.
I'm sure it's fantastic, and I'm a fan of his.
But you have to watch... I think to get the impact, you have to watch it when it came out.
By yourself. No, you can watch it now.
Now
but
it's
you
fine,
gotta watch it by yourself.
But watching it in...
I don't need to be like forcibly depressed.
2021 or 20... What is it? 2022 it came out?
2021.
It came out, and you watch it on everyone's inside.
See, that was the thing. That was... Maybe because my experience was different than the average person. Mm-hmm. I would say during the lockdown times, because I'm a salesperson who goes, to people's houses and I give estimates on anything from roofs to foundation work. Yeah. And there was maybe a period in 2020 for 2 weeks that I didn't work, and then I worked for all the rest of 2020 and all the rest of 2021.
People had very different experiences.
So for me, it's less relatable in that sense.
Yeah.
And of course, I was wearing a mask and everything, and everything was done correctly. But if I work strictly commission, so if I don't work, I am dead in the water. It's not like I can work from home or something. I am dead in the water. Yeah. So
you have a choice.
Exactly. So and I was one of 4 salespeople, and 2 of the salespeople were the owners that were working in all of 2020 and as part of 2021 before people started coming back in. So I guess, I can understand, and I'm a huge fan of his. He's a great comedian, great musician and everything. Yeah. But I just, I wouldn't relate to it nearly as much. And two, I just don't feel like being depressed on purpose.
I think you would relate to it more than you think.
Yeah,
I'll give it a shot.
It's worth
watching. Have like a whiskey and watch it. It's this kind of weird.
You and your alcohol. You have to have a whiskey with everything.
But it is one of those things where like I think we talked about this on the podcast
before.
Like,
we have.
My girlfriend said like, "Oh, I'm going to this fucking this public exhibition."
I remember this bit. You wanted to see it with other people. She wanted to see it with other people and something.
I don't get it. Like this is a profoundly private experience.
Yes,
it's something that like for me was like I would not want to be in a room watching this with anybody else.
I remember it coming out.
No one wants to see my ugly cry face.
I remember watching it on my own, and it was just sort of like perfect for the time. Is what it was. It was. It perfectly encapsulated a lot of people's feelings of like melancholy and dread and hope and just kind of like listlessness for that time period
of just being by yourself.
Just a lot of people were, not necessarily just in America, like Canada or in England or any other country or Australia or any other country. If you're just kind of locked in and you're like, I don't,
what's going to happen next?
Yeah.
We actually have it on the wall directly above Tomm. You can't actually see it. It's right.
Where is it? Oh, Bo Burnham's inside, just there. Yeah. Yep.
There.
Yep.
Yeah. You need to do something with this wall.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying.
Some
dimension.
I don't know.
Maybe add some
I remember when listening to the podcast, we were talking about it because I still hadn't seen it, but I was like, I had an idea and I do not remember what it was, what to put on your wall. You definitely need like a logo that you need to put up behind.
We could project.
Yeah,
something.
we probably should.
Yeah.
You really should have like some, your Chicken Coop logo or something.
Yeah, and underneath, like why we called it that in the first place.
Yeah.
So when it comes to playlists, like I find a lot of structure there.
I like it. I like the idea.
Yeah. So, I like driving with playlists. I have a different driving playlist.
Yeah.
I have a different workout playlist. I have a different like easy listening playlist. I have different playlists for like every project we have.
Yeah.
Just to get me in the zone and the mood.
I have heavy metal and makes my blood rush.
Okay, so what okay, you can pick. We'll do our version of Desert Island Discs, which is you are stranded on a desert island.
Okay.
And you get to take away 5 records with you.
5 records.
What are they? And you get 1 object to take with you. Anything.
Well, I mean, definitely.
Object can be whatever you want, but
definitely has to be a record player.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
That's given to you.
Okay, fine.
Food is already taken care of. Like
one
object.
object.
You get 5 records and something else. Something else, like a piano or a flashlight. Or, no, that's whatever.
I've actually thought about this for the object. For object, I would definitely take a pack of cards.
That's good.
I would definitely take cards.
Just by yourself?
Yeah.
What do you do with them?
Well, 2 things. One, I would
carve out some like cards into like some leaves.
No, I would definitely take a pack of cards, and I've spent hours in my room flinging cards at the wall. Yeah, I'm really good at that. I know I have tricks with cards. It's no problem. I'm very simple minded that way.
You do and you can play. You do card tricks?
I did for a while. Some of those
because you did the whole finger. You did the whole.
Besides the light show, but the light I used to do the gloving and
what's that called?
Gloving with the
you got to explain because
so for
gloving sounds.
So for those, if you haven't ever been to a rave or anything like that, but a big thing that started in raves was when people would put on these kind of white gloves with these LED lights at the fingertips, and they would give light shows, and essentially they would make their fingers move in certain ways, they're very flowy and and it would create patterns and stuff, and
kind of like making your fingers dance or whatever.
Essentially, yes. And that was called light show, and I did that for a few years. Haven't done that in a very long time. But I really love doing that. But the card tricks, I forgot what it's called even, but you can essentially, it's not magic or anything. It's just making the cards move in a certain way that kind of looks interesting and crazy. So I started practicing that, but I got out of it. That was one thing I actually did during the COVID time, is I picked up a few of those things. So I can like flip a card and make it come back to me like a boomerang.
Really?
Yeah. And that's one of the easiest things to do too.
Okay, so your 5 tracks.
So 5 tracks.
5 songs to listen to that you get.
Can I look at the phone?
Yeah.
Okay. One definitely is called Apollo by Crystal Lake. Love
Why?
Crystal Lake. It's just
Who are they and why?
They're a metalcore band that actually they just lost their lead singer. He's not dead or anything, but he left the band due to medical reasons, mainly mental health reasons. Yeah. But they're a fantastic band.
And why that song? What does it mean to you?
I found this band, so I listened on YouTube. I follow somebody who's called Nick Nocturnal. He's probably one of the biggest kind of like metal voices in the YouTube sphere.
Yeah.
And he really loves this band. And they're just, when you talk about metalcore or just a metalcore sound, he has everything from his cleans, which is just like standard vocal singing, to the type of screams that he does. And he's extremely talented. He can hit highs and lows. And it's just I don't know. I don't know. It's just, I love that song. I can listen to it on repeat. It's a song I've had for, on my likes for a while now, and it doesn't matter. I can listen to that song for hours if you just put it on repeat. Yeah. The next song would be again? Apollo by Crystal Lake. The next song would definitely be by a song called Bleed From Within. It's called Sovereign. Also, it's well, I will do first I Am Damnation. That intro to that song is how I start every workout. That intro is just it starts slow.
Links to all of these.
Yeah, it just starts a little bit slower, and he's kind of talking you through it, and it makes you feel like you can bench 495 with no problem. It's just like a song, an introduction of I am here right now. I'm gonna do this. I'm supposed to be here. Yeah. Screw all the people who said I wouldn't be here. Yeah. Kind of a thing. And then the next song would be Sovereign, which is just
you're like nailing these off the bat. I'd have to think way longer about
these are songs that I know that I can listen to forever. Yeah. I just love these songs. So that was 3 songs. So
what was the third? Sorry, what was the third? And the reason behind it.
So the third is Sovereign. It's the follow-up by the same band. Same band, same album. The album just came out also in 2022. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, it's a very new song. This was one of the albums in 2022 that I listened to the most on my Spotify, was it rap or whatever? Yeah. Yeah. Like I think Sovereign was like my number 2 most played song. Yeah. So, but I'm starting to like I Am Damnation more. But Sovereign is also just a follow-up. And I haven't looked into the lyrics as much as I thought I did. But I think I'm not going to talk about it here too much. Yeah. But if people are interested, they can look into the lyrics. The next song would definitely be actually going into a totally different sphere, though. Yeah. Would be
Dire Straits, Mind for Nothing.
Yeah, well, it's actually it's Tunnel of Love by Dire Straits.
All right, way.
That is fine. Why? Tunnel of Love is my, I guess, experience with rock. The first song I ever heard by Dire Straits was Tunnel of Love. That and my dad had a best hits album, and I listened to that song, and I guess that is where I kind of like crossed into understanding how classic rock or even rock and roll isn't all just about a hype like Money for Nothing. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But even though Money for Nothing has an underlying meaning in itself, but Tunnel of Love is and it's a long song too. And I remember being able to sing that entire song because the next song is American Pie. Yeah. So, and I, at one point, knew every single lyric to that song. I love that song. That is...
actually, as of the date of this recording, yesterday is the, I think, 60th anniversary of the quote-unquote day the music died.
Oh, okay. Huh. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's the day that Buddy Holly's plane crashed.
Yes.
No way.
That's what it's supposed to be about. And so that song is fantastic. So I like a mix of a little bit older versus newer.
That's 4, right?
That was 5. That was 3. That was Apollo, I Am Damnation, Sovereign, Tunnel of Love, and American Pie.
Oh, okay. Good. The American Pie is the 5th one.
Yeah.
Okay.
American Pie is fucking, 13 minutes long?
So even though bands like Slaughter to Prevail, I love, but I wouldn't take it.
Do you mind if I answer a phone call from James right now?
Take it outside.
No, I'll answer it later. I was just going to say it might be fun to whack on the podcast, but I'd have to ask him first.
It's good.
It's good. Yeah, you don't know. But never mind. I thought it was funny. That's fascinating.
Excuse me. So yeah, I do like the mix. Like definitely the first 3 is what would, if I'm stranded on an island, is what would get me through.
Yeah.
Right on my daily, because I can listen to metal while I'm doing stuff all the time. Doesn't matter really what I'm doing.
Okay, and now the object. You can pick any object.
Any object. Well, I pick the cards.
Oh yeah, of course.
I pick the playing cards.
All right.
Dope.
Yeah.
I think this is our best podcast for music, by the way, so far.
Yeah. Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Definitely I love music. Like
Yeah.
if I'm driving, I can drive for hours as long as I have my music. That's why.
If it's good songs.
Well, for me, yeah.
I mean, one of the worst things is when like.
Just like I don't like having to play my music when I'm driving with other people because I know other people are not going to like it.
So I mean, no, but that's a huge problem. Can you turn this
off, please?
That's a huge problem for me too. Is like I like
your weird spoken word stuff.
When I'm driving,
angst.
No, it's the music it's the combination of the 2 songs that throws me off so bad.
When I'm driving, I like to just shuffle all my like tracks on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
And my like tracks go from like decent music and like actually good shit to stuff that is intentionally making fun of the entire idea of music. So
such a bizarre thing to say.
I like music that makes fun of music.
It makes sense because I've heard some of those songs and they do sound like they're making fun of music.
Right.
I mean, there's some things that I like. Like
I get it.
That's fine. That's totally fine.
The format. But the thing is, like, if I'm driving with somebody else, then it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, one, they don't get it. They don't like it.
Maybe they don't get it. Maybe it's not the mood right now. I mean, there's been so many times when I'm driving by myself, nobody else involved, and I'm just fucking in the car, like fucking like upset, and it's been a shit day at work, and I'm driving home, and like this fucking asshole is in the left turn lane and he's not turning left.
And he's got a blinker on and the blinker's turning right, for Christ's sake.
And he's playing fucking Take It Easy by the fucking Eagles.
Yeah.
And like, that's one of the best songs of all time.
We don't want to listen to that right now.
And it's just not the fucking mood.
Give me pain.
Just understand that this is not the idea. And then I hit next and it's something by fucking Mitski. And I'm like, no, you know what? Fucking, like, I'm changing the fucking entire
Give me an AI
thing.
that can tell my blood pressure and whatever BPM that's at, give me that.
Yeah.
The emotion.
I'm not even kidding. Like that is a real thing. So like one of the things I've experienced at the gym is like my favorite playlist to run at is just something that is 172 beats per minute. If it is 172 beats per minute or between 170 and 180, like I am fucking running at a speed that is getting me a fucking like an 8.5 minute mile.
Can you imagine an AI that is an alarm clock? So it can tell you wake up and you go from a song that's kind of a delusion to awakeness to panic.
You're like,
get out of bed!
You're like,
you got shit to do, dude.
You're 10.5 minutes into Wish You Were Here.
Yeah.
By the,
Don't press snooze.
by Pink
Don't
Floyd.
do it.
Yeah.
And then
You click
suddenly
snooze and fucking...
Wake up.
you go straight from like Wish You Were Here to Pink by Pink Floyd to fucking Chop Suey by Sister
Yeah.
Wake up.
Got a lot of shit to do, so wake up.
Like, sometimes maybe that's good sometimes. When I'm driving specifically, that's fucking incredible. If you can match my blood pressure and like get like I'm trying to get here fast. Get me the fuck out of this traffic.
Yeah.
Like that would be fucking incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, I just have that 24/7. So.
Yeah. I mean, no, I bet.
There's when you drive as much as I drive anywhere between 100 to 150 miles a day when I'm working. So
how much are you spending on gas a week?
Okay,
because you got your decent car, like the
very, very interesting question. So a little bit of backstory. I drive a Toyota RAV4, an XLE, not a hybrid.
New one though, right?
So
newish.
I just purchased it in
2021.
No, just past year. I think it was September.
And it was new.
It was
22.
No, it was pre-owned, but it was leased. prior.
Okay, nice.
And it's a 2021.
How many miles before you bought it?
It had 14K miles.
Oh, it's so good.
So it's so good. And I traded in, I had a 2014 RAV4.
Yeah.
Now, that I traded in at 120,000. It had 120,000 miles on it to CarMax. And this was at the height of when they were giving the most value to pre-owned vehicles.
Yeah, because pre-owned cars were
So guess for RAV4 2014 at 120,000 miles, I gave it to CarMax. Guess how much money they gave me for it?
Okay, I'm gonna say
250.
Wait, how much is it brand new? When you first bought it?
When I first bought it, I got it for 16,000, and that was pre-owned. I didn't even get it.
So.
And I paid $4 down for it.
24K.
No, not that much, but I got 11,500.
Okay, I'm way off. Yeah. I don't know what I'm talking about.
So it's all good, but I got 11,000.
So you paid, essentially you not lost, but in quotes lost 3K from the buying price after 120,000 miles.
That car essentially cost me gas plus the 4,000 down.
Jesus Christ.
All the money I put into payments, I got back.
That's insane.
And I had leftover money to pay on it, right? So I used whatever money I got back, I paid, and then I had leftover. So I put that as down for the new car.
Wow.
I had like almost $5,000 left over that I put down on the new car.
Wow.
Right? And then...
the car prices, have they came down or are they still...
They've come down, yes. They're not giving as nearly as much per... they're not giving the same amount of dollars.
It's still not a buyer's market, and it's also not a seller's market.
So
it's kind of shit.
But then I got the 2020. Now, the 2021, right, kind of roughly doubled my monthly cost.
Yeah.
Right? But it saved me 1 pump a week. So of gas.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Right? I was putting in gas like 3 times a week.
So now 2 times.
So now it's 2 times.
Mileage.
Same amount of mileage. And it's actually better mileage.
Yeah.
So I get like 40 on the highway.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I get like 25 to 28 on the on regular streets. And if I throw it into the eco mode, I can easily get like 30 on average.
But you like the noise.
So it's RAV4. There's no real noise. If we're talking about the Jeep, you open up the exhaust and you floor it, and that thing roars back at you. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah. But isn't that actually better? Isn't that better for the engine or something?
It's so if you're not strangling the engine, right? You're not choking it. Then yes, the airflow is better. It's breathing better. It is more efficient. But right, if fuel efficiency is like when you look at the meter, for example, like if I'm standing in traffic, it doesn't matter if I'm in eco, sport, or normal, right? I'm not moving anywhere and I'm spending gas. My fuel efficiency is the same.
Yeah.
Right. So, but if I'm actually going and moving and going a distance, the actual distance I'm covering versus how much gas I'm spending, then that's where the fuel efficiency is actually calculated. So, if I'm going 100 miles and I used 1 gallon, I'm exaggerating, but 1 gallon, but if I throw in an eco, I can use maybe 3/4 of the gallon. So it's worthwhile and to upgrade it. So you do the math. Essentially, after 1 month, I'm saving over $200 in gas, and that net brings me to the same cost of the 2014 car. That was the point. Yeah. So I'm essentially paying $260 a month if I'm comparing it to my previous car.
When I bought my car, I bought it, I think, before COVID, like maybe 2019, and I bought a 2016 Toyota Corolla, which I love. It's awesome.
Toyota's a great car.
Yeah, but I kind of wish I looked at the price of gas at the time, and I went, okay, so I think I paid 14 down, like 14K all in with like
you paid 14K straight up?
No.
I was like, what?
I put a certain amount down, and then I had like, I can't remember, maybe 6 or 7 down, and then I had like the rest as a car payment or whatever.
Okay. It's a lot of money down. Good for you.
I just wanted to. I mean, my mom helped me. That was a
no
total
shame.
panic. That was like before. That was oh my god, that was awful. My old car was. I love that thing, but that was just.
I missed that shit box.
Oh, I love that car so much.
So much.
It was for anyone. It was a 19.
Do you remember that car?
Yeah.
19.
I mainly remember it when we helped you move your storage unit out and you drove up with it.
I love you guys. That was the first time that like you guys like. Maybe not a conversation for podcast, but that was the first. I didn't know you guys that well at that time, actually.
Yeah,
not really.
You're just like, I have to deal with this thing. I think like the 4 of us were just like, we'll help you.
I was not there.
Basically, for listeners, my dad passed away, and most of my family's in England, and my mum and I lived with my dad in America.
Wait, you're English?
Yeah. And basically, he had this secret storage room.
Secret.
It was secret. The only person that knew about that storage was me.
Oh, no shit.
Because my dad had specifically told me
not to tell anybody.
Don't tell anybody about this, because it was a 5 foot by 5 foot
it was
by
tiny.
however much tall.
It was at least 8 feet, if not 9.
It was
tall up. It was high
and
up.
basically it was my dad was a filmmaker, and it was half of it was at least a third to half of it was filled floor to ceiling with film reels.
Yes.
Full on fucking plastic containers or metal containers full of old school film reels.
Yeah.
Literally reels of film, floor to ceiling, that you would have to spend thousands of dollars today converting into digital to a format you could actually watch them.
Right.
Right. And my dad was like, don't let anybody throw these away.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. And also like...
You still have them?
No, I actually ended up selling them.
Wow.
I kept the good ones, because what I did was like, what he'd actually done was he'd converted...
Cyrus is up there like...
Yeah. I'd converted a lot of them.
You motherfucker.
I had them for years, dude. The entire time I was living with Paul, I kept them in the corner of my apartment. Yeah. So it took
I
up
remember that, yeah.
a lot of that apartment. It wasn't a big apartment. But he'd previously converted most of them to fucking VHSs anyway. Like, so I have them on VHS though. I have 3 boxes full of the VHSs of those things.
We should go through this.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, and I have a couple of projects actually I was working on that I do want to finish that were kind of interesting. One was a project about this great stuntman called Eddie Dono.
You told me about that.
Yeah, he doubled Eddie Bellucci. He doubled Bellucci. He doubled
Johnny.
So I have so many insane stories that I have to tell on this podcast at some point. But no, that was God. How the fuck did we get to? So
the car.
I didn't know you guys that well.
Yeah.
And you know, I that was kind of.
This is actually before you and I met.
Yeah. No, this was like when I was friends with Josh, and I just started hanging out with you guys, and I just started not working my ass off. Like I'd stopped like totally just working and sleeping. I started to come to the bar on the weekend with you guys and hanging out, and then I think I told one of you or another of you.
I told Josh, who told us.
Something that...
Josh was there.
Yeah. And I was like, fuck,
so.
I can't afford this fucking storage anymore.
I think Josh was still going to...
I was in the middle of like emptying my dad's old apartment that I was living in, finding a new place to live, and also this storage place that was costing me an arm and a leg that I just couldn't fucking afford.
Yeah.
And basically and I'd also been going back and forth to this place like twice a week, just sorting it out.
Mm-hmm.
And like taking literal tubs of shit home, sorting that out, going back. And I think one weekend you guys were like, fuck this. I was like, I'm going down there.
Carl.
Turned up with, like, you guys turned up with like
bless Carl.
6 or 7 cars. We just filled all of those cars up with almost everything that was in it.
Yeah.
Took it to the apartment that I was staying in that was almost empty. And it was such a fucking massive. I'm so thankful for that. That was amazing. That was genuinely like, I was like, yeah, I love these fucking guys. This is amazing. But we got on this from talking about the car. So yeah, I ended up getting the car because I had this burner car that was like a 1994 or 5 Honda Accord, I think. I bought it for I think $100 or $200 off of it. I was working as a PA on a job. And the car was a stunt car.
Oh,
this car was painted.
Oh my god!
Well, I say painted. It wasn't. It was like sanded down. It wasn't really painted.
No, the paint wasn't sanded off. It was the leftover, underneath.
It was the residuals of what used to be an okay-ish old car. It was basically, you look at it. You know the primer paint. You paint a car with. You paint a wall with like roll-on primer paint black or something. That's what this car was. So you look at it and you could see. Basically, literal like the paint roller. You could see roller marks on the on the body of this fucking car. And this thing was like was wild. It
was such a shit box.
You got in, you turn the key, and it would go. And every time you got in, it would have a different noise. Because something was going wrong.
Every time I got in that car, I thought I was about to die.
Yeah. Every time you got in the car, it made the same noise and it made a new noise. But the new noise would be counteracted by somehow the old noise fixing an issue that was happening in the car previously. So like I
had like a little leprechaun or something in there that's just like, wait.
I get in the car I get in the car one time and the fuel pump light would come on the dashboard. I'm like, oh fuck.
Right.
I'm earning minimum wage, working as a fucking PA working 20 hours a day, fucking 800 hours a week on some TV show that no one's gonna watch. Get in the morning, and every morning would be like, please just get me to work. Get me to work, please.
I remember that when you were like, you and I had only become like close.
We only got close when we decided to meet up and have a conversation with the goat to start like a film thing.
Maybe like 3 months before you sold that. And you had told me, I think I'm going to sell this car. And I'm like...
It wasn't I think I'm going to sell this car. I love that car, and I literally drove it into the ground.
I told you, how much are you going to sell this car for? And you were like, I don't know, maybe like, I can probably net $1,000. I'm like, I will buy that car off for you for $1,000 just to have a fucking car.
I love that car. So what ended up, I'll come back to the history, but basically what happened is California has a reason. Basically, the car was so shit.
It was so fucked.
So shit.
It was fucked.
That California would pay you $1,000 to get that fucking car off the road. That's what I did. I had like a reclaim thing where
the whole conversation I had with you was like, we could use this and just like blow up the car somewhere. We could just like get B-roll of a car exploding in the LA River and not have to pay permits, not have to pay anything. Yeah. Just have the fucking car explode, and that'd be great B-roll.
If I could still have that car just sitting in a garage, just so I could look in it, sit in it, I love that. It's my first proper car,
right?
And it had so much personality.
Man, so the
car was the reason why I got it for so cheap was because, first of all, the film company bought this fucking completely unusable fucking car for a character in the TV show I was working on, where the character was supposed to be driving the most run-down, beaten to shit, like on film, you're supposed to just see the car pull in and know, oh my god, that's who that character is.
Right.
Okay. And and not only that, but the car had been used for some stunts. So one of the stunts was when you pop the trunk of a car, right? You have like the trunk is one piece that comes up, and then you have these runners inside the trunk that diverts rainwater out. Like, so it runs off the trunk into like these sort of like gutters almost. But for one of the stunts that we did on a show, it was the first season of a show called The Guest Book on TBS.
God bless The Guest Book. If you haven't watched it, watch
amazing
it.
Amazing show.
Great.
Greg Garcia, amazing. We probably
phenomenal.
But on one side of it was this like fist-sized hole that had been cut into it because one of the gags in the show was, I think, looking back, it was something to do with someone was stuck in the trunk and they needed like a rig to pop the trunk open remotely, so you do it from inside or something like that. But what that meant was LA never rains, but once a year for a week, it shits it down. So I got into my car. This happened a couple of times, but the reason why it died eventually was I used to park in the new place after I moved house. I moved into this other place, and I had to park my car on the street on an incline where the nose of the car was downhill and the back of the car was uphill. And I got in the car at like 3 a.m. I had like such an early call on some TV show somewhere. I had to drive an hour out of town into the desert for this TV show. I get in, it's pouring with rain. Open the car with a key. Oh, you have to put the key in, not like a clicker. You put the key in the door,
right?
Turn the key, goes. Open the door, close it, slam. Put the key into the ignition, turn it, it goes. And I look over, and I'm parked on like a 30-degree incline, right? So I'm at a decent incline. I look over, and the passenger seat footwell is completely full with water.
Oh, fuck.
Completely full. There was literally a fucking foot of water in the footwell. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Turn it. The car's not turning over at all. And I panic because I'm like, I need to go to. If I don't go to work today, I'm screwed. I'm literally like I'm paycheck to paycheck, job to job on this. I call them up and they're like, "Oh, can you like get an Uber?" I'm like, "No, I can't. I can't."
It's 3 o'clock in the morning.
3 o'clock in the morning, and I can't
go anywhere.
If I pay an Uber, that's like 3 days of work. Is like paying an Uber to get me there and back, right?
Right.
Luckily, I called my mum and she very, very graciously gave me money to buy a new car. I think she gave me like 10 grand or something. That was, like
awesome.
Basically to put down on a car, and then like no birthday presents or Christmas presents or anything for a couple of years. Yeah. But I mean that like literally saved me because I was in a total panic at that time.
God bless her.
But God, I eventually got that fucking thing. I drained it of water, like literally like bailing out a boat when it was not raining. Bailed it out.
I missed that car.
Yeah. Drove it to my mechanic, who was this amazing, just old Armenian guy outside of LA, and like this, I was gonna say shitty, but no, it was like you pull up to that. That's the mechanic you want. You want to pull up to a mechanic. The guy's covered in grease. He's got just these thick, like his forearms were the size of my legs with muscle and hair, right? And I go in, and I've been to him a couple of times before, and it's always been like, $200, $300, $400 to replace some vital part inside this piece of shit to get it working. And the last time I went, I left it with him, and I go back, and also this, by the way, this guy was also the guy that I'll come back to this story in a second. A guy that had fixed. I found him because he was my. When I did this other movie, he was the producer's guy. Who like fixed the car up to be a picture car in a movie that Adrian and I did. But so I take this guy I take the car to this guy after that, and he puts his hand on my shoulder and he goes, "Alex, this car gonna need a lot of work."
It's like, nah,
and he was like, you just basically said just. The amount of money you're gonna have to sink into this thing,
not worth it,
to make it run again. Just the cheapest part to make this fucking thing run again is cheaper than the whole value of the car.
Yeah.
The starter motor, to replace the starter motor, is more money than the car is worth. How long have we been going for?
2:06.
Great. I think it's a good time to wrap up.
Up to you guys.
Yeah, let's end it. Okay, this is a good podcast. Great impromptu podcast. Tom, thank you very much for joining us on your first podcast.
Yes.
You talked about many things, including how you pooped in a hole in the desert.
No, I missed the hole. I missed the hole.
We peer pressured you 1 a.m. to come join us on this, and yeah, I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad I did it.
Real good spirit.
Yeah, we'll do it again.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, this is 8.5.
8.5.
8.5.
All right. Cheers, guys. I feel like a toast is in order.
Cheers. L'chaim.
L'chaim. This is to Fellini.
Fellini, why not?